When I came into the compound and saw the children, 4 young children, beautiful children, 3 boys, 1 girl. He had so hypnotized the children that they should not speak and they should never say anything that has been happening in the house.
Hello thinking people, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. It's so good to have you once again. Now, based on the developing story of this particular osinachi Nwachukwu's death, of which has been trending on the internet lately. Now, based on what I am seeing right now in the news, according to Punch newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, because their logo looks like that of the Vanguard, Punch newspaper. They are yet to do the autopsy as at when I'm looking at it right now, because of the fact that, yes, of course, there are conflicting news right here. The husband is insisting that she was ill or she died of sickness, not like she died of being beaten, even though we are not neglecting the fact that she was beaten, which led her to be admitted. But he is saying that what she died of was the fact that she was ill. So let's make this assumption, okay? Come on, let's try to be on a plain level right here. For a fact, she was not feeling okay. Now, remember what Dr. Paul Eneche said was that 2 of them came to his office to see him. We talked about this before in a recent video. So I was then thinking further about this, okay? Do you notice that all the while that Dr. Paul himself was talking about, histopathologies, histology, and, doing CT scan, even the CT, he had to explain what the C stands for, the T stands for, and, all the medical jargons, which I don't know if the intention was just to show his prowess as a doctor or maybe to confuse people. I don't know. I'm just saying. He didn't mention what was actually her problem. If you watch that video again attentively, I think I'll link it in the pinned comment, so you watch it again, you see that he talked about the fact that after they came, he prayed and then it wasn't subsiding. She now had to refer her, he now had to refer her to go to this particular hospital. And from there, he was saying that the reason why he was mentioning names is that verifications can be made. Of course, that is it. Those people might maybe be, those that are members of his church or whatever. I'm not trying to say that there's a cover-up right here, or maybe like it is said that by me that this is a damage control. But he did not mention what was her problem at that time. He only said that, the case was still being managed. What was being managed by the hospital at that time, that even she was in oxygen, and then later you were informed that she's no more using oxygen, because he said that the CT scan was brought to him, but he did not tell us what he saw in the CT scan. So I was just beginning to ask myself a question. Okay, now you've talked about this way, but he didn't really say what was the problem, because if he could say what was the problem with osinachi as at that time, then it would be wise to say that maybe when the 2 of them came to see him, because he said he was not aware of any form of domestic violence or whatever, because had it been it was because Peter Nwachukwu was beating her up that they came, of course he could see it evidently from her face that this woman is distressed, looks depressed, or having been battered a whole lot. It could be evident, except he is not sensitive to such things, okay? Except that. So at that point, if they came to him that maybe either as a doctor that he could do something, or as the one that does healing, that he could pray for them to get healed, because sometimes I then wonder if the healing, I'm just saying, I don't know if the healing happens only in the public where people are, where you see crushes being carried, this and this happen, or if the healing cannot happen in private when you are together with the person. I don't know. One, they just know, because I know the comment section right now, people are going to be giving me buzzwords, because the dynamites are here to make sure they're giving me dynamite. But just understand with me, okay? Because at that point, prayer didn't really fix the situation. And that's just for us to learn, like I said before in my other video, that I beg you, biko, biko jeo no. God did not give us medical doctors out of stupidity. God is very, very wise that he has all these things. If you want to build a house right now, would you go and pray to God and the house will appear? Mbano, now you need to consult an engineer, consult a technician, an architect to make that happen. So when you are sick, I'm not saying that God himself cannot heal. God is still a healer till today. But when you are sick, use the things he has made available, the doctors, the hospitals and all that, to get yourself fine. So there must have been a reason why two of them went to him. At least he is their papa and father in the Lord, if I am not mistaken. Even though some people have said Peter Nwachukwu was a pastor. Was he really a pastor? Maybe his last message talking about the fact that, Noah's Ark and all that, we could have this kind of people in the fold and all that. Maybe you can tell me what you think about his message. I didn't want to go there because people will say you don't understand spiritual things. So can Mechikwana no here. But looking at what he has said according to his story, sir, what did you see from the CT scan that you looked at, and then you said the things were now becoming milder than what you saw before? You did not state what was actually her problem, because if tomorrow right now, maybe tomorrow right now, since the autopsy is yet to be carried out because the family members are not present as at Thursday based on what has been reported. So today is Saturday that I'm shooting this video. If the autopsy has been done, maybe later I'm going to talk about it or something, because that would mean that either Osinachi Nwachukwu was really, really, really sick, but coincidentally the beating on top of the sickness, which I think is arrant wickedness, no sensitivity from the side of Peter Nwachukwu himself. Man, so there are men like this in this world though, because me itself, I'm really, really surprised. It's shocking for me to hear that. I don't know if you understand. So if she was really sick and still beating on top, then she went through a lot. Okay, because according to him right now, she was okay and fine before he left for Cameroon. Now, it's not as if her family issue is his business, but saying that they were talking on a daily, at least he was caring enough to be reaching out or maybe to be giving her an audience. Because some of you right now that might be Dunamite or members of the church, you don't have your pastor's phone number. You don't talk to your papa anytime you feel like. There are protocols that must be observed. So why I was initially very upset at the first Sunday he came back to Nigeria, which I don't know why I'm still making reference to that he was insensitive not to talk about this, even though you heard him say in the video that he knew on the night, Friday night, that it happened, or Friday getting to Saturday midnight that it happened, before he got into Nigeria for his service, and he didn't talk about it. You can see from the level of access she had to him and how they were talking on a day, at least this is something that should touch you. But maybe as a leader, he doesn't want to show the people any sign of like he's remorseful or something. And everybody was also flowing in the same spirit of happiness, love, and joy. Even on that same Sunday, he did healing. Someone that could not walk, he prayed for the person. He was talking about how Cameroon was wonderful. People were walking. People were even healings was happening from people's home and all that. Whether it is real or fake, if you have been watching me for over time on this platform, which have existed before many of you got to discover me, I beg you in the name of God, we don't say who is real or fake here. We face the facts of what is trending, give an objective opinion about it, and then we move on to something else, okay? But tell me what you think in the comment. That particular fact of what was actually wrong with her was missing in the conversation, because it was just upon management. What was found out with all the histopathology, histology, gogotigo, tissue examinations, long perforation, or grammar can come. I'm not a doctor, biko. Maybe the pastor himself did not know Dr. Paul Eneche, but maybe the wife knew. But I'm not trying to put a blame here. You understand? But somebody knows something and something knows something. The best we can do as content creators or bloggers or analysts is to talk about the situation. And the attention this particular thing has brought right now has gone to the extent that even the Senate themselves will do a stand-up minute of silence for Osinachi. Even the president himself got interested that the Minister for Women Affairs had to go to the family to have a conversation with the children, where she got to know that Osinachi Nwachukwu had been through a lot in the family, to the point of even discovering that the son, who is much older and should be able to read according to the news, can't even read. So you can imagine the psychological trauma these children have grown up with.
When I came into the compound and saw the children, 4 young children, beautiful children, 3 boys, 1 girl. He had so hypnotized the children that they should not speak and they should never say anything that has been happening in the house. I came in with a crew with all the directors from the ministry and the permanent secretary. And so sad, we did all we could. We met a friend of his there who has stationed himself to monitor what is happening, and the nanny that visits them to take care of the children. So when I was asking questions, the children, I saw that they were not forthcoming. And I now excused everyone out. I said I needed to have one-on-one with the children. So I sent all the children in. I asked the nanny to take them in. I started with the first son. I said, "Do you love your mommy?" He said, "Yes." "Has your mommy taught you to tell lies?" He said, "No." I said, "You know that, is she alive or dead?" He said, "She's dead." "You know that she's now your angel and she's watching you. She'll be very sad if you tell lies." And here I introduced myself and I told him that the president is concerned, every Nigerian is concerned, we all join them to mourn Osinachi's death. But what we want from him is the truth. If they want us to help them, all I want from you is the truth. The boy adjusted his seat. He looked at me. I said, "Do you fear God? Did your mom teach you how to pray and speak the truth?" He said, "Yes." Then he opened up. There was nobody, myself, himself, and my permanent secretary. And thank God, my permanent secretary was recording everything. The boy now opened up and said that their dad used to beat their mom, and their mom was always sad. She would always sad and thinking he would beat her and fling her off. He doesn't spare them himself, that he gathered them in the room and will be beating them with a big belt. If the mom comes in to ask him to stop, he will turn back on her, beat her, lift her, fling her up. And that has always been the issue. And that they are always scared, and that he doesn't go out, he's always in the home. It's the mom that runs around. She goes for her gospel music, bring back the money. In fact, if the money is paid through cash, through a bank account, it's paid to his account. She has no account of her own. Any cash she comes back with, he collects it. And he will give just a peanut to her for feeding. In fact, the boy said he eats more than them. He will give mommy small money, and when she cooks, the next minute he starts shouting and beating her, that he is always shouting. And their mom was living in fear, always sitting sad. Oh, it was such a horrible story to hear from a young boy of just 12. The eldest son is 12. And because of the trauma the children went through, I asked him which class he is. He's in class 5 at the age of 12. Why? He said he can't even read. A boy of 12 years can't even read. So mentally, this child is already destroyed.
Retarded, yes.
Completely. I was battling with tears. So when I finished, I asked him to move to the other side. I called the nanny to bring in the second child. The second son, wonderful, beautiful son, who is also gifted. I learned that he sings well. They mentioned it, so I asked him, I said, "Can you sing for me?" When he sang, you could hear his voice like an angel. The DPO had just come to do some investigation, and he met me there. We were all battling with tears. The DPO, a man, couldn't help his tears. The second son explained the same horrible situation that they've all been going through. So my pamsec said, even these two were enough. The other two, when I said, okay, call them and let's just, the third one said, no, mommy, I want to talk. The little one, they insisted that they will also tell their story. So we sent everyone out and we listened to each one of them, one after the other. In fact, the last one is 7. A girl, the only girl in the house. It's so sad. This is a situation that I'm calling on all Nigerians to stand with us and demand justice for Osinachi, and these children must be protected because he is not just a bully. I lack words to describe this man. And it is sad that women, so many women are living and dying in abusive marriage. This is one out of so many that we are hearing. He stopped her from communicating with the entire family. None of her brothers come to the house. None of her sisters come to the house. I learned that she has a twin sister. Nobody comes in. Even when he beat hell out of her and she was rushed to the hospital, he took her to the hospital. And when the brother heard, he went there and he remained there and never allowed the brother to talk to her until she was on oxygen.
So I don't know if the family themselves would get a lot of care and support at this time. But what matters, we have to know, is that Peter Nwachukwu still remains the father of those kids. However, the investigation and justice is being brought, I think the children themselves need care at this time. They need love and they need a lot of compassion at this point as grief for the passing of their mother, Osinachi Nwachukwu, who has indeed been a kingdom asset. And I was watching a video as to how many gospel artists themselves sang the song of Osinachi Ekwueme and a couple of others in honor and memory of her. Okay, but we have a lot to learn from this particular story that trended this year. Indeed, April is not a fool, I must tell you. April is indeed full of a lot of stories. I don't know what is coming in the next month, but all the same, the Lord is our strength, and may the grace of the Almighty God keep being with us as we get to learn from all these stories that come. And may your story not be the same as the things we see on social media, but we hope to learn from them and become a better version of ourselves, to raise good, wonderful families and build foundations that would actually create a society that is free from all these menace, domestic violence, and what have you.
Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró mi, wọ́n ti mọ̀ sí ego. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun o. Ọlọ́run o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Bó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró mi, wọ́n ti máa ṣeré o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun o. Kùtù ọmọ tí mo dábàá Jésù. Wo tí mo dábàá dádì. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró mi, wọ́n ti máa ṣeré o. Onídúró mi, ẹ ṣeun.